Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay,
I move we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the October 4th, 2022 special meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all signify with aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Business?
You second that.
Transfer real estate at 1438 North Summit Street, owned by the Arkansas City Land Bank, to
That's what we're discussing. There is two applications, which is a little unusual for a day request. But these are both for 1438 North Summit Street. It's the property that, if you're familiar with the area, it's used to be the Big and Small barbecue restaurant right next door to Munson Insurance Agency. So just a short little history. The property was bought by the city in 2018. Anticipation of Summit Street being widened. Didn't ever do that. But we did put a 10-foot easement on the property in 2019, and then it was put into land bank in 2019 with some of those other properties. We had a whole list of them. The property was purchased for just under $13,000 at that time. There were some tax issues. That's why that number is a little bit on the higher side. The appraised value is $14,580. So the two applicants, the first one was Mike and Jennifer Munson. We're looking at that property to expand their property, kind of square up their property. Today, that lot is covered in crushed rock, and there was no immediate proposed changes by the Munsons for that property. They proposed a purchase price of $1. The second one was Brew Crew Properties, which is the franchisee of Scooters Coffee. A portion of the property to the south would have to be combined with this property in order to make it developable. Scooters is small, but not that small. This property is 41 by 125, so it's a pretty small piece of property. And they were going to, of course, build one of their kiosks there, and we're offering the county appraised value, $14,580 for that. And both representatives from both applicants are here if you want to talk to either one of them. So.
Well, have we looked into what it's going to do if they put in the scooters there? What it's going to do to the traffic, and how much more congestion are we going to have in that area that we can't handle what's there?
We have not specifically looked at that, no. But yes, definitely will be an issue when we do the site plan review for that. If that goes through, it will be something that we'll have to definitely look at closely, make sure that we're not increasing the problem.
Do either of, Madam Mayor, do either of the applicants have any information they'd like to share with us?
Yeah, they're both raising their hands at
Okay.
the same time.
I think
Come on
that'd
up.
That'd be
Introduce
better than us
yourself and,
starting out with what our reservations are.
Tell us where you are.
My name is Ryan Cromer. My wife and I, we are Scooters Coffee franchisees. Just a brief history on us. We live in Wichita, and we have 4 locations as of now. Most recently, Winfield opened up in October. We also own Augusta, Independence, and Valley Center. So Park City is also part of our territory to build a kiosk in. So number one, we're excited about that more than anything. Just to add to what he already said, we have put an offer on the property directly south of this, 1428 North Summit, owned by Mr. Brandon Welch. That offer has been accepted by him, but we're still waiting for the Scooters real estate team to evaluate that property and either approve it or deny it. I should have an answer on that later this week, pending holiday schedule. If the property directly south of this one in question gets approved as is, then I don't have a need for this particular piece of property anymore, if that makes sense. If they're aware that it's, for sale, and if they are telling me I need to acquire it for a little more elbow room, then at that point I'd, be more interested in purchasing it. But as of right now, I don't have a crystal clear use on what we would do with it. It's kind of, odd shaped, and I don't know if that would be extra employee parking for us, or potentially signage, or, added on to our exit somehow. But I just wanted to further communicate, my thoughts on the property and what that I may or may not be needing it. So that's my 2 cents.
So you have the property that's south
Directly
of
south of
this.
it.
You already have
We put
that.
an offer on it, but it's contingent upon the Scooters Real Estate Committee approving it. They have to look at it, evaluate traffic counts, position in the city, size, all those factors, whether they or not they'll approve it or deny it for a drive-through kiosk to be built on it. If I can be honest with you, I feel like the piece of property we put an offer on stands a pretty good chance of getting approved as is. And if that's the case.
And that's separate from this.
Correct, yeah.
We love it when you're honest with us.
Yeah. And I can't speak. I've had another piece of property denied that I thought was a slam dunk, not in Arc City, somewhere else. So it kind of depends what kind of day the real estate committee's having, if they approve a specific site or not. But we feel pretty confident based on the similar characteristics it has of our Winfield property, that it'll get approved as is. And if that's the case, we'll just have a nice rectangle piece and won't need any further land.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mike Munson, Munson Insurance, 1500 North Summit. And I would welcome scooters next to us. Just a little bit more history is, why didn't I do this before? Well, I bought the property March 2017 in a tax sale. However, they didn't notify somebody correctly, so the sale was voided. I found out I was bidding against the city of Arc City, which is silly to drive up the cost. So I said, Nick, if you guys want it, what do you want it for? They said, we just want to tear it down. We won't do anything with it. I said, well, then I won't bid against you. So then, they used all that property when they resurfaced Summit Street. They were on my property back there that goes, behind it, and it's in an L shape. So the city used all that when they were doing that. And that was rough having all that stuff next to us. I went out and measured this morning, and when we back out of our place, that's only 35 feet before it hits the property line. And every one of them went over that property line. So if we didn't get this and someone put a fence there, it would really create havoc in our parking lot. And I also talked to him, if they need a few more feet of frontage, 20 feet, I got no problem working something out with them in the future. But since their project isn't approved or anything like that, it would kind of stink to have an owner of something that is not a good building site, that doesn't have a use for it, to go to somebody else, or to just put it out there. So
you're saying that you can work out a deal with him, put that deal in there?
I don't need the whole 40, but I need, like I said, it's tight. I was told at one time there was an easement through there and nothing could be built on it. Well, now there's no record of that easement. So that's why I hadn't been in a hurry before, is I didn't think it was usable at all, or anything can be put on it. And now I'm told that's not the case. So
I think I heard that too. Yeah, I think there wasn't going to be anything built on it.
yeah. Well, there's a garage back on the property behind me, and they said there was an easement to that, but Josh says there's nothing on file.
No, and that's the property you're talking about.
That would be.
What he's talking about is the Summit Street, like 4 or 10.
Yeah, it's just 10 feet on the front of the property.
No, I mean, where did you put you said you have
There's a barn, I think that red barn back there is what you're talking about, right? That little.
Yeah, there's a little, it's a garage that's in bad shape.
Right there.
nothing's in it now. Nobody's really using it.
On the east side of the property.
Yeah.
So as far away from the street as could possibly be and still be on the property.
That is
It's a whole different property.
from either of these.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's-
Oh.
So the property you have is on the south of his property.
Right, it's the auto body.
Yeah, it would be, I think you're gonna second. I think Mr. Welch owns all of this, and I think what they're doing is gonna cut it here. And then that's the little piece that's in question. That's his L shape. He's saying when they back out here, they'll hit that property line.
Right.
So this is a little corner piece,
Where's the scooters gonna go?
right here.
Right
In
there.
between the Bulldog, is that tire or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and Mike
It
Munson,
used to be Ost Autos,
Yeah.
discount tire.
Yeah.
A lot in the past, but
that oil, Jiffy Lube and all that, yeah. Be just
Okay.
north of that.
But doesn't it say if they were to buy the property from the land bank, doesn't it say that they have to put something on it? Isn't that what
No.
our charter says for the land bank?
You have it for you to remember what's it. Doesn't specifically say that, it's kind of up to you as the board.
But like I said, it would make our property a perfect square, give our customers room to pull out and all that. And if they need some room, if that deal goes through, which I hope it does, I'd be happy to give them some more frontage. But I can't. I mean, I need that to make it
So
safe.
conceptually, you'd be squared up.
Yes. And if they needed 20.
But functionally, you might,
I'd give it all the way back even to the property I already have.
you would be the good neighbor who would say, let's work this out.
Yep.
And on the other hand, what I heard is the disposition is that doesn't seem to be, or it's not your intuition, sir, that's a make or break acquisition of that property, that's a make or break on whether or not.
For certain, if the real estate committee with scooters comes to me and says, we're not gonna approve this, which you put an offer on as is, if you acquire this other piece, we got a done deal.
And that's what you're trying to do.
He just doesn't know if that's gonna be needed.
He doesn't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just said, he won't know
More
that.
of a backup if I need to, and even then, I think we can still
2
work
weeks
something
too
out.
early, because he doesn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, he just said he could probably work something out with Mr. Munson, yeah.
it sounds very much like they're amenable one to the other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Madam Mayor, I think what you thought out loud was, are we a couple of weeks premature in having this discussion in general? Maybe you have
Because he
the
doesn't
answer.
know if he needs it.
By this time next week, I should know if the piece I put an offer on contingent on scooters approving or not. I'll know if they've approved it. I should know by this time next week.
Or do we need to wait until have a meeting in January
It sounds to me like we,
and to see if you get the property and stuff, because it's gonna make a lot of difference how we do this thing.
My problem is I applied back in late October and this meeting's been put off. And again, if someone puts a fence right up on that edge of that property, it'll be detrimental to my property.
I mean, he sounds like he's gonna work with scooters.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, there's no, I mean, yeah, I think they're both gonna work together.
But how we saw, you're only gonna pay for $1, and he's paying for 14,000.
Well, that was on advice of the staff. That's what they told me to put down.
Oh, okay.
well,
So, I mean, it's not worth anything to me other than safety and I didn't really, when I thought there was an easement there, I didn't need it at all because they said nothing, they couldn't put a fence or do anything and I found out that's not the case.
The property makes way more beneficial for him than it does for me. Me personally, I'm 100% confident I can fit my drive-through kiosk on the piece of property I put an offer on. But I don't have the mindset and the thinking process of our real estate committee that makes a decision or not.
So you want to withdraw your request from the land bank?
Maybe 5 days, for sure.
it would, but functionally, so then we could be, the other side of that is we could be making a decision based on this offer for the section of land that has no relevance because they might,
They can withdraw.
they might can the whole project. They may say, we're not interested in a franchise in our Kansas City.
No, there will be one here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
He just
just a matter
doesn't-
of which piece of land they're gonna approve.
Right.
Which, again, going back to, I feel really confident about the 100 by 200 foot piece that we've, put a contingent offer on is, I know we're on the right stretch of Summit we need to be on, we're on the right side of the road. So I think a lot of things are in my favor to get approved. But I would hate to go ahead and withdraw my interest in this just on the fact that if they come back and say, no, we need a tiny little bit more piece of land, some elbow room or whatever. And if I go ahead and withdraw my interest right now, and I don't have something to fall back on. But even with that, I think we're, Mike and I are on the same page of, I don't think to develop all that if they, maybe we meet in the middle somewhere. So I don't think the best answer is here.
How do you formalize that though, so that if either of the property owners change, that there would be an existing agreement as opposed to someone with a different state of, different disposition? Somebody else may say.
The only thing I know is to table it until our next meeting, which is in January, right? We have another meeting in January,
We will have to have a meeting in January for the annual reorganization.
so.
That's the option.
I mean, you got, what I'm saying is you have two people here who are both reasonable and amenable one to the other. But one of you sells the business, somebody else comes in and acquires a franchise, somebody buys your.
Mike's saying he'd give a little bit of that property. If you need 15 more feet, he'd said, like I said, he'd sell it, his whole length of that
So would you-
rectangle to
So we just
keep his.
Formalize it is, I guess that's what I'm
He said
trying.
if they needed 10 or 15, he said, I'll just take 10 or 15 the whole way to the east of my property, all the way to the east side of my property line.
Can we do that, Josh? I mean, just,
That would be the next thing then.
I have a question.
Clarify that again.
Now we're talking about dual ownership of that small
You wouldn't,
sector.
Mike would sell or give
Yeah.
that 15 feet the whole
You're
way.
gonna slice that in half, cut the baby in half.
I mean, yeah, you guys could do that. You could do the division yourself, but it's probably easier if you don't. It's probably easier if you do so, give it to
I
some.
don't think there'd be dual ownership. I think what Mike's saying is if I had that square or that rectangle and then he said, I need 15 feet, Mike would give him that whole, from the west to the east, his whole length of that property, so it still stays a clean cut. That's what I think he understood.
Yes.
It sounds like you got two neighbors that are willing to work together on this.
I guess the thing is, I'm just, how do we make that not be people's dependent? How do we make that so that
I see.
10 years from now, somebody else doesn't come along and say, but that's mine and you can't park.
Well, he would either sell it or give them to him for $1 or say, hey, I'm selling this piece of land to Scooters for, and you'd have to just probably go to the planning committee, I assume, and just lot split or something.
Thank you. That's where I'm trying to get us to.
Yeah.
is-
It would go through those, Mike and him would just have to go through a quick,
Okay.
I'm gonna give my property here, and this is gonna go to him, and there it is, so. planning
We're
commission.
both speaking,
Yes.
former planning commission
Yes.
members. We're speaking the same thing, that there's a process for
Yeah,
that would need to be introduced by the planning
well, it'd
commission.
just be Mike saying, Scooters needs 15, here's the 15 feet, I'm gonna split this part off, and it's gonna go to them, and then go up the chain through there.
I have a different question. You say that garage back there is owned by a different person?
It's on a different property
Yeah,
line,
it's owned by Christine Tanner, who owns the
Bulldog Tire.
Bulldog Tire.
Okay, so they have
Sorry,
access,
dealer.
access to get to it from Bulldog Tire.
Without that easement, they don't officially.
That's what I was afraid of.
And I mean, even today, that problem exists. They don't have any legal access.
Pull my map back up.
Well,
Because I don't think really you can keep somebody if they're, I don't think you can keep somebody from their property.
Has she been notified?
No,
Christine
not
Tanner.
directly, but she's party to this whole process because
Yes, okay.
she's got some sort of lease. I don't know what the agreement is with Brandon Welch, who owns the property that they're looking at, so. I'm not aware of what the language is, but there's.
She's she probably goes through Brandon's to get to that property.
Which is the one he's buying.
Part of it, yeah, I think he's only buying the what do you call it, the frontage part of it. He's not gonna buy all that grass behind it, that field behind it.
So it's, I don't know if she'd have a way to get around our, assuming we develop it, get a way around it.
Yeah, I think they're just going for, see, Brandon owns all that. And I think they're just wanting to cut it here, and I'm sure they just come up, I mean, Brandon owns all the way from, was it A Street up to.
I guess what I should add is we're not creating an additional problem by doing this than what's already there.
Right.
And then we can make sure there's some sort of access to that property when they end up developing that other side.
Thank you.
So the question I have is,
Thank you.
do we let Mike have the property and let him decide, let him, handle the scooter property, or, I mean, how you gonna do this?
I mean, it seems like he's tried to get this before and worked with the city. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, he's not gonna be a terrible neighbor, I don't think. He's saying he doesn't need probably all 40 feet or 50 feet of that.
Sonic delivers to our
So, I mean,
Well, the problem is, you got him asking or giving $1 and you got the other guy giving 14,000.
yeah, but that was not at Mike's. Mike was told to just give $1.
When Mike turned this application in, there was
Or anyone
no
else, yes.
notice of anybody else interested at all.
Okay.
So technically, if this had gone through quicker, it would already have been
Yes.
Mike's for $1 before this whole thing got brought up.
Oh. Functionally, it does seem like perhaps an inconvenience, but time is our friend in that Mr., I'm sorry, I didn't get the last name, Ryan. Romer? Cromer, okay. Mr. Cromer will have a definitive answer as far as the location of the franchise within a few days. If they choose a different area.
It wouldn't mean different there, most likely just be, do they need the regular land that he's purchased, or they need that extra feet that Mike needs, or Mike would like?
I would love to say, 100% confidence, I'd be willing to, pull my offer out of this, but I'd hate for that to be the factor if I do or don't get a location built on this piece of property.
Right.
Right. So to me, it seems like that, whatever that process is, I just feel like we're a couple of weeks premature.
So we just table this until our next.
Partly, yeah. I mean, I agree with that, but yeah, I mean, just Mike's came after it first too. I mean, we just haven't had a meeting due beforehand. Yeah. Your decision. You're the president.
Yeah, that's fine.
Come on up.
Come up and state your name and
I have a question, but, Dustin Schutz, I have one question regarding this. And my fault for being late, I apologize for that. But why has it been tabled for the last couple of months? I'm just curious.
We hadn't been brought
They've
up.
had a meeting till now.
Oh, there wasn't a meeting.
No.
We don't meet every month.
Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know.
Well-
It's a tough, I mean,
yeah.
We gotta do something.
I mean, the fact that Mr. Munson's willing to be nice and willing to work with the gentleman, work with scooters, in my,
Let's just keep it simple, and I'll pull my offer, him and I can work.
that's what I was just getting ready to say was,
Well,
Mr. Munson's willing to work with the guy. If it wasn't that easy, I would say, okay, we probably do need to table this. But with him being able, I'd like to, make a motion that we transfer, what is that? Transfer real estate at 1438 North Summit Street, owned by the Arkansas City Land Bank, to Mike and Jennifer Munson, located at 15, what is it? That's Mike and Jennifer Munson, that'll work, so.
A second.
for a price of what?
For a price of $1 that he was asked to put down on that.
The 1438 North Summit.
Yes.
Okay, super. Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Is it roll call?
I don't think so.
Is it roll call? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Sure, Mike, but you're gonna